When people think about the modern royal family, one name always seems to create headlines faster than anyone else: Meghan Markle. And now, after months of silence, one new interview has royal watchers talking all over again. But this time, it's not just what Meghan said that has everyone reacting. It's the reported response coming from inside the palace itself. Because according to royal commentators and online reactions, the atmosphere around King Charles III has suddenly become a lot more tense. The moment the interview clip started spreading online, social media exploded almost instantly. Some viewers defended Meghan completely, saying she finally had the chance to speak openly again. Others accused her of reopening old wounds that the royal family has spent years trying to move past. And that's exactly why this story is becoming such a massive conversation right now. For years, the relationship between Meghan, Prince Harry, and the royal family have been surrounded by controversy, rumors, and non-stop media attention. Every public statement becomes a headline. Every interview becomes global news. And every appearance gets analyzed frame by royal fans online. But this latest situation feels different, because many royal experts believe the palace was hoping for a quieter period after the difficult health concerns and public pressures the royal family has recently faced. Instead, this new interview suddenly pushed Meghan back into the center of the conversation once again. And the timing is what many people are focusing on. In the interview, Meghan reportedly spoke about personal struggles, public pressure, and the emotional weight that comes with constantly being discussed in the media. While she didn't directly attack specific members of the royal family in the harsh way some headlines suggested, her comments still sparked intense debate online. Supporters said she sounded calm, honest, and emotionally exhausted from years of scrutiny. Critics, however, argued that every new public statement only adds more tension between the Sussexes and the monarchy. And once those reactions started spreading, the internet completely took over. Royal discussion pages exploded with theories. Commentators began debating whether the relationship between Harry and the palace could ever truly recover. And suddenly, people started asking the same question again. How does King Charles really feel about all of this? Now, officially, the palace rarely comments on private family matters. That has always been the royal strategy: silence, control, and careful public appearances. But according to multiple royal insiders and commentators, there's growing frustration behind closed doors whenever private family tensions become worldwide entertainment, especially at a time when the monarchy is already under enormous pressure. For King Charles, the challenge has never only been about public image. Since becoming monarch, he has faced non-stop scrutiny over the future of the royal family, public trust, modern expectations, and internal divisions. And every time another royal controversy appears online, that pressure only grows larger. What makes the story even more dramatic is the emotional history behind it. People still remember the shocking interviews, the documentaries, the headlines, and the moments where Harry and Meghan openly discussed feeling isolated from royal life. Those moments changed public perception forever. Some people began seeing the couple as victims of an outdated institution. Others believed the interviews damaged the monarchy's reputation at one of its most vulnerable moments. And years later, the divide between those two opinions still hasn't disappeared. That's why this latest interview immediately became more than just another celebrity story. To royal fans, it feels like another chapter in a conflict that never truly ended. And the palace knows that every single public comment now carries global consequences. Even body language experts and royal commentators began analyzing recent appearances from senior royals after the interview started trending. Online videos claimed the palace looked concerned, while others said the royal family was simply trying to avoid feeding more drama publicly. But regardless of what's true behind the scenes, one thing is undeniable: the public fascination with this royal divide remains enormous. Millions of people continue watching every move involving Meghan, Harry, and the monarchy. Every statement creates headlines across television, YouTube, TikTok, and news sites within hours. And in today's internet culture, controversy spreads faster than ever before. That's why even a few carefully chosen words in an interview can suddenly become worldwide news overnight. But here's the bigger question many people are now asking: will this tension ever truly end? Because despite years passing, the relationship between the Sussexes and the royal family still seems emotionally complicated. Publicly, There have been moments of peace. But media pressure and online speculation continue pulling the story back into the spotlight again and again. And unfortunately, that cycle may continue for a very long time, especially because royal drama has become one of the internet's biggest obsessions. Some viewers believe Meghan is simply telling her truth after years of pressure. Others believe both sides should stop making private tensions public altogether. But no matter which side people support, one reality remains impossible to ignore. Every new interview keeps the royal divide alive in the eyes of the world. And as the debate kept growing online, another unexpected thing started happening. People weren't only talking about Meghan Markle anymore. They started looking closely at King Charles III himself, his recent appearances, his expressions during public events. Even short moments captured by cameras suddenly became part of the conversation. Royal commentators on television and YouTube began asking whether the king was quietly exhausted by the endless family headlines surrounding the monarchy. Because from the outside, the royal family is supposed to represent stability, tradition, control. But behind the palace walls, they are still a family dealing with very public emotional tensions under the eyes of millions. And that pressure is something few people can truly understand. For years, King Charles waited to become monarch. When that moment finally arrived, many believed he wanted to focus on shaping his legacy, modernizing parts of the monarchy, and guiding the institution through a changing world. Instead, major family controversies have continued dominating headlines. And every time another royal interview appears, attention immediately shifts away from official royal work and back toward drama. That's part of why this latest interview created such a strong reaction online. Some royal supporters argue the timing was unfair to the king, especially during a period where the monarchy has already faced emotional and public challenges. Others push back strongly, saying Meghan has every right to share her experiences publicly after years of intense media coverage. And once again, the internet split into two sides. But there's another reason this story feels so personal to many people. At the center of everything is still the relationship between a father and son. Because despite all the headlines, documentaries, interviews, and public appearances, many people still hope that somehow Prince Harry and King Charles might eventually repair their relationship privately one day. That hope hasn't disappeared. In fact, every time there's a new royal story, people start searching for signs of reconciliation again. A photograph, a meeting, a private conversation, anything that might suggest healing behind the scenes. But then another controversy arrives, and those hopes begin fading once more. Meanwhile, social media continues making everything even more intense. Clips get edited, quotes get exaggerated, headlines become more dramatic, and before long, millions of people are arguing over a situation none of them truly witnessed firsthand. That's the strange reality of modern royal life. Every facial expression becomes a theory. Every silence becomes a headline. And every interview becomes global entertainment within hours. Even some royal experts have started warning that non-stop public battles may hurt everyone involved in the long run, including the monarchy itself. Because while controversy creates attention, it also creates fatigue. People become emotionally divided. Families appear further fractured. And public trust becomes harder to rebuild. Still, despite all the criticism and pressure, Meghan and Harry remain among the most talked about public figures in the world. Whether people support them or disagree with them, audiences continue watching everything they do. That level of attention is almost impossible to escape. And perhaps that's why this entire situation continues feeling so complicated. There are no simple heroes or villains in the eyes of the public anymore. Only different perspectives, different experiences, and a family conflict playing out on a worldwide stage. But as more commentators continue reacting to the interview, one thing has become increasingly clear. This story is far from over. And maybe that's the saddest part of all. What began years ago as tension behind palace walls has slowly turned into a never-ending public spectacle watched by millions around the world. Every interview, every headline, every public appearance now feels connected to a story that refuses to disappear. For King Charles III, the challenge may no longer be just protecting the image of the monarchy, but protecting what remains of a deeply complicated family relationship under constant global pressure. And for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, Every attempt to explain their side of the story seems to reopen debates that never truly healed in the first place. But beyond the drama, the headlines, and the online arguments, there's one uncomfortable truth many people are beginning to realize. No matter who the public supports, everyone involved has already paid a price for this ongoing divide. Because in the age of social media, royal family tensions are no longer private moments. They become global entertainment. And perhaps that's why this story continues capturing the world's attention. Not just because it's about royalty, but because it's about family, loyalty, pressure, and the impossible struggle of living under nonstop public judgment. The palace may remain silent. The headlines may keep changing. But the questions surrounding this royal divide are clearly not going away anytime soon. And until that changes, the world will keep watching. But just when people thought the royal drama was finally slowing down, another wave of reactions suddenly appeared online. And this time, many viewers noticed something very interesting. Instead of directly attacking Meghan Markle, some royal commentators started focusing on how emotionally distant the entire situation has become between both sides. Because after years of headlines, interviews, and speculation, the relationship between the Sussexes and the palace now feels more fragile than ever before. Even supporters of the monarchy admitted one thing: the constant public tension is exhausting for everyone involved. Meanwhile, fans of Meghan argued that no matter what she says publicly, criticism follows almost instantly. To them, the latest interview wasn't about creating drama. It was about finally speaking openly after years of pressure and media scrutiny. But critics strongly disagreed. They claimed every new interview keeps old wounds alive and prevents the royal family from moving forward privately. And once those debates exploded across social media, millions of people once again found themselves choosing sides. That's what makes this entire story so powerful online. It's no longer just celebrity gossip. It has become one of the most emotionally divided public stories in modern royal history. And while the palace continues avoiding direct public responses, silence itself has now become part of the mystery. Every time the royal family says nothing, the internet fills the gap with theories, speculation, and endless analysis. Some people believe reconciliation could still happen quietly behind closed doors one day. Others believe the damage has already gone too far. But no matter what happens next, one thing is certain: the relationship between Prince Harry, Meghan, and King Charles III remains one of the most watched family stories in the world. As long as new interviews keep appearing,